You were their easy win until you became the one mistake they can't undo. That's the quote etched into their mind like a permanent scar, not because you yelled, begged, or fought, but because you went silent and elevated. You didn't just move on, you leveled up in a way they never saw coming. It was like a ghost they can't unsee. You became their unfinished business, the chapter that keeps bleeding into every page of their life, no matter how many new stories they try to write. Imagine playing chess with someone who thinks you're predictable. They smile, thinking they've got you locked in, but just when they lean back, you pull a move that flips the entire board. That's what you did. You delivered a checkmate, not just on the board, but in their soul. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, but it hit them where it hurt most, their ego. And here's the fact, real psychological studies show that emotional shocks can stay in a person's memory for decades, especially when the shock isn't violence, but silence, when it's not rage, but reinvention, when it's not revenge, but elevation. The brain doesn't know how to process that. It loops, it replays, it glitches. You became that glitch in their system, that haunting echo of, how did I lose them, to themselves. And thank you, chosen one. If you feel this message in your bones, don't forget to press the like and subscribe. That's how we spread this signal, this fire, to other souls who need it. We're not here just to hear the truth. We're here to become the truth. And every time you support this message, you're helping light the path for someone still stumbling in the dark. Thank you for being a part of this movement. You're not just a viewer, you're a force. Now, let's get back to why your impact was so brutal and so unforgettable. They thought you were soft. They thought you were easy to leave, replaceable, predictable, just another background character in their life story. But you were never just a page. You were the twist. You were the reversal they never rehearsed. And now they can't unsee it. They can't unfeel it. They can't unlive it, because you didn't just get better. You became someone their ego cannot survive. Your glow-up wasn't about clothes or money or followers. It was the kind of upgrade that rattles people. Inner peace, unbothered energy, a stillness so powerful it screams. That's what you gained, and that's what they lost access to. You see, when someone watches you rise without them, it exposes their biggest fear. That they never had power over you in the first place. That they never broke you. You just stopped letting them close enough to try again. You see, some people don't fear your success. They fear your silence. They fear that you're finally out of their orbit and nothing they do pulls you back in. That's what makes your checkmate so haunting. Because they didn't lose you in some dramatic scene. They lost you quietly. You stopped explaining. You stopped reacting. You stopped making them the center of your storm. And that was the moment you won. Without shouting, without proving, without begging, just vanished into the version of yourself they swore you'd never become. And now, they feel your absence like static in the air, like walking into a room and sensing something's missing, even if they can't name it. Your absence became your presence. Your silence became your statement. They thought they erased you, but you turned into a ghost that follows them through every room they enter. That's the thing about chosen ones. We don't just exit. We echo. Even when they try to fake their indifference, their energy betrays them. Their body shifts when your name is mentioned. Their eyes change. Their voice stutters. Because it's not about you anymore. It's about the version of themselves that couldn't keep someone like you. That failure haunts them more than you ever could. You didn't play dirty, you didn't get revenge, you didn't lower yourself, and that's what breaks them. You kept it classy, you kept it powerful, and you moved in a way that told the whole world, I'm not stuck in the past. I'm building something the past has no access to. And now they scroll your profile like a guilty pleasure. They check if you still care. They wonder if you've forgotten. But deep down, they know you didn't forget them. You just outgrew them. And that stings more than anything they can post, say, or pretend, because you're not the person they left. You're the person they can't catch anymore. What you did wasn't just a checkmate, it was a spiritual declaration. I'm no longer playing your game. And once a chosen one exits the game, the whole board starts looking different. The rules change, the pieces shift, and the one who thought they had control, left staring at a life that suddenly feels empty. They didn't just lose a person, they lost a mirror that showed them who they really are and who they'll never be. That's what stings, that's what keeps them awake, because your power didn't just evolve, it exposed them. Your absence became the stage for their truth to show up. And when that curtain rose, even they couldn't pretend they were okay. So don't doubt the move you made. Don't question the silence you kept. You didn't walk away. You delivered a message written not in words, but in transformation. And that kind of message, it never fades. It haunts. This is your moment. The one where you realize that being unforgettable isn't about forcing your presence. It's about owning your evolution so loudly that even your quiet screams in their soul. They'll never forget you. Not because you tried to make them remember, but because you became the kind of person no one can forget. And that, chosen one, that is your checkmate. Let's go deeper. And hey, chosen one, if you're still here, that's no accident. That's your higher self telling you this message is yours. Because what comes next, it's the part that hits the hardest, the part they pray you never figure out. So stay with me, don't blink, don't scroll, because we're about to break down exactly how your silence became the loudest scream they'll ever hear. And if you've ever felt like your glow-up wasn't noticed, trust me, it was. They remember every move. They replay every scene. Drop the number 777 in the comments if you're ready to own your checkmate moment. And if this message hits home, consider hitting that super thanks. Because this truth takes real effort to deliver, and your energy keeps this mission alive. Whether it's 1 cent or 1,000, it fuels the flame. You're not just a viewer, you're part of the strike force. And now, let's break this all down, step by step. Stick around. If you're a true chosen one, the pull to hear this all the way through will be too strong to ignore. Let's get into it. Number 1. They built their whole strategy on who you used to be, and you burned the blueprint. The real pain isn't losing the person. It's realizing they became untouchable right after you bet against them. That's the thought screaming in their head now. Not because you came back swinging, not because you begged to be understood, but because you didn't come back at all. You just rose, so quietly, so completely, that it made their entire plan look like child's play. While they were busy setting traps for the old you became someone their games can't even reach. Let's call it what it is. They underestimated you. They thought you'd be reactive, thought they could trigger you, bait you, pull you back into the same loops. That was their whole playbook. Get you emotional, make you prove yourself, keep you beneath them through noise. But you didn't bite. You went silent. You stopped giving them access. And that silence, it wasn't peace, it was power. They were strategizing for war, and you were building an empire. That's the checkmate. That's the part they can't live with, because it wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it didn't make headlines, but it shattered something permanent in their ego. It showed them the one thing they weren't prepared to see. You never needed them to begin with. That's why they're haunted. because everything they rehearsed only works on the version of you that no longer exists. Their weapons are useless now, their tactics obsolete. Their entire plan is now a dusty script that never even made it to stage, because the lead role outgrew the story. And the worst part, you didn't just upgrade, you disappeared from their control. You slipped out of their hands without a single explanation, no closure, no drama, just evolution. You became a blank screen they can't read anymore. And the human mind, it hates the unknown. It can't stand silence from someone it thought it controlled. Now they're stuck with outdated intel. They don't know what version of you is coming next. You became unpredictable, and unpredictable is unplayable. That's when their fear kicked in. Because if they can't decode you, they can't disarm you. And if they can't disarm you, they can't win. Ask yourself this, chosen one. Why are they still watching? Why does your name still pull reactions from people who claim to be over it? It's because your presence wasn't temporary, it left residue. Your glow-up didn't just inspire, it exposed. You didn't just rise, you proved them wrong, and not in a look at me now kind of way, but in a you never really knew me kind of way. That hits different. That's what keeps them pacing at night. Because now they have to sit with the truth. They played themselves. They invested in your downfall, and the stock went the other way. They tried to play God in your story, and the universe hit override. You weren't built to beg. You were built to outgrow. You were never made to fit their version of you. You were made to destroy it. You rewrote your life so cleanly, so brutally, that it made them irrelevant. And that's worse than losing. That's erasure. You didn't just checkmate them. You deleted the entire game. You walked away from the board and built your own arena. One they don't have access to. One where their name doesn't even register. Let that sink in. They plan to win a game you no longer play. They spent all their energy trying to dominate someone who doesn't even orbit their world anymore. That's the gut punch. That's why they're haunted. That's why every new version of you rattles them, because now you're the standard, and they can't measure up. So no, they don't hate you. They hate what you became after them. They hate the reflection of themselves in your success. They hate that they no longer get a seat at your table. And they really hate that you stopped giving them reactions, because the silence is screaming now. Remember this: people don't lose sleep over people they've forgotten. If you were truly irrelevant, they'd be at peace. But they're not. They're restless, agitated, shook, because you rewrote your identity in front of them and left them stuck in a story that no longer includes you. You didn't just win, you ended the game. That's why the checkmate haunts them. Because it wasn't the move they saw, it was the one they never saw coming. And now the player they tried to use is the one they can't stop watching. That's how a chosen one wins, not through noise, through transformation, through distance, through becoming exactly what they swore you'd never be, unforgettable. Number 2, they wish you were wrong, but you saw right through their soul. There's nothing more terrifying than being seen by someone you thought you were fooling. That's the gut punch sitting in their chest right now. Because you didn't just walk away, you walked away with the truth. You left them exposed, not to the world, but to themselves. And that's what they can't unsee. That's what gnaws at their ego like termites in a hollow house, the fact that you knew. You didn't scream it, you didn't announce it, you didn't even weaponize it. You just let them sit in the silence of being fully seen. And that silence is loud as hell now. They thought they were complex, mysterious, untouchable. They acted like their chaos was some kind of art form, but you decoded it in seconds. You saw the manipulation dressed as charm, the insecurity hiding behind every "I'm doing great." You saw the envy in their eyes when they smiled at you. You saw the cracks beneath every smooth word they threw at you like bait, and you never flinched. That's what messed them up. You never gave them the reaction they were fishing for. You just kept watching and knowing. Imagine this: someone walking around wearing an expensive mask, convinced it's bulletproof. They've spent years perfecting it. They know how to tilt their head when they lie, when to fake a laugh, how to pretend like they're unaffected. But then you walk in, and in one glance, your eyes strip it all off. You didn't touch them. You didn't confront them. You just saw them. That's the kind of stare that burns long after you're gone. Here's the psychological truth. People don't fear being exposed publicly nearly as much as they fear being seen privately by someone they can't manipulate. Why? Because public exposure is noise, but private realization, that's a mirror. And mirrors don't lie. You became that mirror. And now, even if they avoid your presence, they can't outrun the feeling of having been fully read by someone they underestimated. You didn't destroy them. You just stopped pretending not to notice who they really were. That's what burns. Because now they have to live with the knowledge that you always knew. And still, you didn't humiliate them. You didn't get revenge. You just walked away with your peace and their mask in your hand. And here's where it gets even deeper. They weren't just scared of what you saw. They were scared of what you didn't say. The things you noticed but chose not to call out. The truths you confirmed with your silence. The way your energy shifted when the lies started leaking through their sentences. That non-verbal knowing. It's a whole language, and they heard it loud and clear. Imagine someone trying to sell you a fake diamond, smiling wide, talking fast, trying to convince you it's real, and you just hand it back. No anger, no argument, just a calm, "I'm good." That's what you did with their whole identity. You didn't need to prove them wrong. You just showed them that they never fooled you in the first place. That quiet rejection, that's what eats them alive now. You didn't leave because you were weak. You left because you were wise. People like them. They expect explosions. They expect breakups with drama, exits with chaos, because that gives them something to blame. But you left with nothing but clarity. No mess, no scenes, just the weight of truth dropped in their lap. And that kind of exit? It's unforgettable, because it doesn't give them a villain to point at. It forces them to look in the mirror. Now they're stuck, replaying moments, rethinking every word they said to you, wondering how much you saw, how early you figured it out, what signals gave them away. That paranoia, that's the new soundtrack of their mind. And you're just living, unbothered, evolved, while they spiral in questions they'll never get the answers to. Let me ask you, chosen one, how many times did you hear them lie to your face and still smile? How many fake apologies did you accept just to keep the peace? How many shady moves did you observe without reacting, all while collecting silent receipts? And now they realize they weren't ahead of you. They were just dancing in circles while you watched from above. You weren't confused. You were patient. You weren't blind. You were observing. You didn't finally figure them out. You knew. You just gave them time to reveal themselves fully. That's a different kind of power. That's the kind of power they pretend to have, but you actually possess. People fear the ones who know, and they never forget the ones who left knowing. That's you, and that's why they can't move on. Because this isn't about heartbreak. It's not even about losing you. It's about the fact that you became a silent witness to their truth, and they'll never know just how much you saw. That's the part that keeps them up at night. They try to fake confidence now, try to flex online, try to rewrite the story like they were the ones in control. But it's hollow, because no matter how many people they fool, they know they couldn't fool you. And that ruins every fake win they try to claim. You became the glitch in their self-image, and every time they look at themselves, your silence echoes. Imagine being haunted not by a ghost, but by a gaze that saw right through every trick, every performance, every disguise. That's what you gave them, not a memory, a haunting, and they'll carry it long after they forget your birthday, your voice, or your laugh. Because what sticks isn't how you made them feel, it's how you made them see themselves. They thought they were untouchable, you showed them they were transparent. They thought they were in control, you showed them they were predictable. They thought they were the smartest one in the room. You didn't argue, you just left the room smarter. So don't second-guess that moment you walked away. Don't regret not exposing them. Don't wish you'd said more. You didn't need to. Your knowing was louder than any speech. Your exit was your proof. And your silence, that was your final move. That's why they can't forget you. That's why your name still stings. Because in a world full of people who lie to feel powerful, you told the truth without even speaking. And the ones who live on illusion, they never recover from being seen. That's the checkmate they never saw coming. And now, no matter who they try to become, they'll always carry the scar of the one who saw through them. Number 3. They called it power until you stopped clapping for the performance. Their strength didn't vanish, it just stopped working on you. You didn't take anything from them, you just stopped giving. No more reactions, no more emotional energy, no more applause for their circus. And just like that, the show collapsed. That wasn't power they had. It was a spotlight you kept shining on them, and the second you walked out of the audience, darkness, silence, emptiness. What they called confidence was nothing but control with a costume on. The way they dominate conversations, manipulate emotions, throw their weight around like it meant something. That wasn't strength. It was insecurity, dressed in volume. And the moment you stopped flinching, the mask slipped. You exposed the truth without saying a word. Control only feels like power until someone refuses to be controlled. Imagine a balloon filled with air, floating, flashy, center of attention. Now imagine a needle, small, silent, simple. That was you. Not aggressive, not loud, but precise. And when you stopped reacting, that needle popped the illusion they built their whole identity on. Their pride deflated, their ego scrambling to rebuild the narrative, because the power trip only worked when you believed it was real. And here's what really burns them. You didn't beg, argue, or compete. You just stopped showing up to lose. That's what made them crumble. Because now they're standing in the middle of the same game. But the opponent is gone, and suddenly all their moves look pathetic. You didn't steal their strength. You revealed they never had any. That's what shattered them. Have you ever seen a toddler throw a tantrum when nobody's watching? It fizzles fast. Why? Because the drama dies without an audience. That's what you did. You took away the audience, and now they're stuck trying to roar in a room that no longer echoes back. They'll tell themselves you were too sensitive or couldn't handle the pressure. But the truth? You outgrew the stage. You stopped performing in their script. You broke character and left. And without your energy to feed on, their power turned to dust. They don't miss you. They miss how powerful they felt when they had you under their thumb. That fake superiority, that pretend dominance, that false image of control. You shattered all of it with one act of rebellion. Peace. They weren't strong. You were just silent long enough for them to think they were. Now they're panicking, searching for another energy source, trying to recreate that feeling of dominance. But nothing hits the same, because nothing feeds the ego like controlling someone who's too powerful to be controlled anymore. You didn't destroy them, you dismantled the illusion they lived in, and now they'll spend the rest of their life rebuilding a throne that only stood because you bowed. That's not just a loss, that's collapse. That's what makes your checkmate unforgettable. Number 4, you were the structure. They were just leaning on you the whole time. They only noticed your value when their world fell apart the second you left it. They thought you were extra, optional, replaceable, just a quiet presence in the background. But what they didn't realize is, you were the reason things didn't burn down sooner. You weren't just in the room, you were holding it up. And the moment you exited, cracks turned to chaos. That calm they took for granted, gone. That order they never credited you for, collapsed. What they called balance was just you carrying the weight in silence. Let's get one thing straight. You didn't walk away and cause destruction. You walked away and revealed it was already broken. You were the duct tape, the emotional compass, the steady pulse that made dysfunction look functional. While they were performing, spiraling, feeding their ego, you were the one quietly holding the walls up with both hands. And now that you're gone, every corner is buckling. They didn't lose support. They lost the foundation they pretended wasn't there. Imagine a power grid, wires, lights, noise, energy buzzing everywhere, people praising the flashiest bulb in the room. But when the hidden generator shuts off, everything dies. That was you. You were the power source, not the spotlight. And they never even looked twice until the lights went out. And now they're scrambling. Conversations are awkward. The flow is gone. Nobody knows how to lead without drama. Why? Because the real leader already left. The strategist, the peacemaker, the one who read the room before the storm hit. That was you. And the chaos. That's the consequence of underestimating someone who carried the whole system with grace. Maybe they thought they broke you. Maybe they thought you faded out. But the truth is, you were the spine of the whole thing. And when the spine walks out, the body collapses. That's not ego. That's facts. And every day without you, that truth screams a little louder in their reality. Now they're pretending things are fine, posting smiles, acting unfazed, but behind closed doors, it's unraveling. Nothing feels solid anymore because you were the stability. You made the impossible manageable. You kept peace in places that never knew peace before you arrived. And now that you've withdrawn your presence, the silence is loud. The tension is real. The cracks are showing, and no one knows how to fix it, because only you ever could. You weren't just part of the system, you were the system. They just didn't realize it until it crashed without you. Let them talk, let them pretend, but deep down they know the truth. Everything felt easier when you were around. Everything made sense, things worked, people followed. Conflict cooled, progress happened, not because they had it together, but because you were the quiet force holding it all together. That was never weakness. That was power, silent, elegant, invisible power. And now that you're gone, that power is gone too. And no, they can't replicate it. They can copy your words, your mannerisms, your style, but they can't copy your presence. because presence like yours isn't made, it's born. That's what they lost. That's what they miss. That's why they'll never stop feeling your absence like a cold draft in a house with no roof. Your exit wasn't just a departure. It was a revelation, a spotlight on their dependency, a full exposure of how much they leaned on the very person they disrespected. And that, chosen one, is your silent revenge. Walking away and letting the truth collapse everything they thought they built without you. Number 5, they tried to poison you, but you chose to heal instead of rot. They wanted you to turn cold, cruel, and chaotic, but you became everything they never could be, whole. That's the wound they can't bandage. They didn't just mistreat you, they tried to rewrite you. They poked, provoked, betrayed, and manipulated, all hoping you'd snap, that you'd lash out, that you'd start playing dirty just like them. Because if they could pull you down to their level, they could tell themselves you were always the villain. But you refused. You didn't become their reflection. You became their contrast. Imagine this. Someone hurls mud at a clean mirror, hoping to stain it forever. But instead of the mirror cracking, it just reflects the filth right back at them. That's what happened. They thought their damage would turn you bitter, but it turned you brilliant. They tried to twist you into a monster. Instead, you leveled up into wisdom, peace, and power. And now, that mirror is still standing, cleaner than ever, while they're drowning in the mess they made. You didn't let the pain change your soul. You let it reveal your strength. They thought heartbreak would make you hateful, that betrayal would make you brutal, but your grace became a weapon they never saw coming. You walked away without screaming. You healed without revenge. You didn't trade your integrity for temporary satisfaction. That right there, that's what guts them. Because the story they wanted to tell, the one where you went crazy or lost it, never happened. Instead, the opposite did. You got better. And the better you got, the worse they looked. Now their guilt is louder than your silence, because deep down they know they lit the match, and you refused to burn. They expected chaos. They got clarity. They expected retaliation. They got elevation. They expected a war. You became peace. And now their ego is choking on the quiet power of your maturity. They tried to create a monster, but they only revealed one, and it was never you. You didn't win by fighting dirty. You won by rising above their frequency, and that rise, it left them behind. That's not just defeat, that's humiliation, because now the person they hurt the most is living the life they swore you'd never have. Healed, empowered, untouchable. And that's what truly haunts them. You didn't just survive, you thrived in spite of them. Number 6, you outgrew their lies, and now their version of you is dead. They built a whole story where you were the weak one, and now they're stuck watching you live a plot twist they can't explain. Let's be real. They never saw you as a threat. You were supposed to stay small, predictable, easy to read, easier to control. They painted a version of you to everyone, the passive one, the emotional one, the too much one. That was their safety net. Because as long as people believed that version, they didn't have to confront the truth. You were never the problem. But then, you grew, you evolved, and suddenly the entire storyline they built started to rot from the inside. You became undeniable. The person they used to describe no longer exists, and they can't fake that fact anymore. You don't match their old narrative. You don't fit the box they shoved you into. You don't look broken. You don't sound bitter. You don't act like the crazy one they warned everyone about. In fact, you've become everything they claimed you weren't: calm, solid, radiant, powerful. And that truth embarrasses them. Your glow-up didn't just silence the lies, it assassinated the entire script. Imagine writing a story where you cast yourself as the hero and someone else as the burden, and then the burden goes off and builds a life that makes your whole script look like fiction. That's what you did. You didn't just outgrow them, you outgrew who they needed you to be. And now, their version of events doesn't make sense anymore. People see you and feel the contradiction. People hear you speak and sense the truth. And the worst part? You didn't even try to prove anything. You just became you. Now every lie they told comes with consequences, because when the broken one heals, it forces everyone to ask, who broke them in the first place? When the needy one becomes independent, who was really feeding off whom? When the problem disappears and the peace increases, who really was the problem? They didn't lose control of you. They lost control of the story, and without their version of you, the mask on their own face starts falling apart. You didn't just evolve, you exposed, not by accusation, but by transformation. You were their mirror, and they shattered it. But what they didn't expect was that you'd rebuild yourself into a reflection they can't even look at now. Because the truth, you becoming extraordinary ruins their entire character arc. It makes them the villain, the manipulator, the insecure one. And now everyone sees it, even them. They can't rewrite the past, and they can't unsee the glow, so instead they sit in silence, haunted by a version of you that keeps rising, while the lie they told slowly decays. That's checkmate, and they'll never recover from it. Number 7. You read them like a confession, and they've been paranoid ever since. The scariest kind of exposure is the one where no words are spoken, just knowing eyes that see everything. You didn't need proof, you didn't need to argue, you didn't even need receipts. You felt it, the fake support, the compliments wrapped in quiet envy, the weird tension hiding behind just looking out for you. You didn't explain what you saw, you just moved different. And that movement? That's what shattered them. Because once someone realizes you've seen their real intentions, the ones they never meant to admit, not even to themselves, they never move the same again. You became the mirror they didn't ask for, but couldn't escape. Every time you looked at them, it hit. The imitation they called inspiration, the concern that was really control, the praise that dripped with resentment. All of it was laid bare without a word. You just knew. And that kind of knowing, it's not just uncomfortable, it's terrifying. You didn't expose them publicly. You exposed them spiritually, and that's a scar they'll carry in silence. Imagine someone painting on a perfect smile, hoping the world buys it, then walking into a room where one person already knows the truth behind it. That person was you. They couldn't hide from your intuition, couldn't distract you with charm, couldn't control the narrative, because your energy didn't chase clarity. It was clarity. And when you made space between you and them, they didn't feel distance. They felt judgment, the kind that never had to be spoken to be understood. And that's what haunts them. Not what you said, not what you did, but what you know. Because when someone realizes their intentions have been unmasked, they don't just fear exposure, they start exposing themselves out of paranoia. You made them face truths they weren't ready to confront. And now, even in your absence, your presence lingers like a spotlight they can't turn off. You didn't ruin their image, you revealed their truth, quietly, completely, and that's something they'll never unsee. Number 8. You were a sleeping giant, and they poked until it woke up. They didn't break you. They built the fire that burned their illusions to ash. They thought you were soft, easy, harmless, just a quiet soul they could overlook, disrespect and discard when convenient. They saw your kindness and called it weakness. They saw your patience and mistook it for submission. But what they never realized was, you weren't fragile, you were focused. And the more they underestimated you, the more dangerous you became. See, people like them only recognize power when it's loud. They need the noise, the dominance, the threats, but your strength didn't roar. It grew. It sat in silence, watching, waiting, collecting every insult like a spark. And eventually, those sparks built something they never expected, a wildfire of evolution. The very doubt they threw at you became bricks in the empire you built without them. They were playing chess against a volcano, and they didn't even know it was awake. Imagine standing at the base of a mountain, kicking at it, laughing, thinking it's just rock. Then one day, it moves, it shakes, it erupts. That's what happened. You didn't clap back. You didn't stoop down. You elevated. You outgrew the smallness of their view. And now, they're haunted by every moment they overlooked you, because each of those moments helped build the version of you they can't touch now. You were never weak. You were calculating, evolving. You didn't waste energy proving yourself. You became proof. And now they replay it all. The eye rolls, the mockery, the gossip, the arrogance, and every memory tastes different now, bitter, because it aged into regret. They didn't lose to the person you were. They lost to the power you became because of them. That's the consequence, not just losing you, but realizing they created the force that left them behind. You were the storm they laughed at until it flooded everything they built. And now, chosen one, they know. They underestimated the wrong soul. And that mistake, it was permanent. Number 9. You didn't expose them. Your existence did. They weren't afraid of you calling them out. They were afraid of you being real in a world where they survive by pretending. You didn't walk into their life with a mission to destroy. You just showed up as yourself, and that alone was a threat, because your authenticity clashed with their performance. Your honesty, your emotional depth, your self-awareness, it all screamed truth in rooms where they were busy running from it. And that's the part they couldn't handle. You didn't even need to try. You simply were everything they were pretending to be. You became the mirror they spent years avoiding, not by judging, not by confronting, but by existing with a level of self-respect and awareness that made their facade tremble. You didn't need to raise your voice or expose receipts. Your energy did the exposing. And it shook them, because for the first time, they weren't just being seen. They were being understood at a level they couldn't fake their way out of. You weren't the villain. You were the truth they tried to erase from their own reflection. Imagine someone who's lived their whole life in costume, suddenly standing in front of a mirror that strips them down to the rawest version of themselves. No filters, no excuses. That was you. Your presence was that mirror. Your silence was that spotlight. And the worst part for them, you never even had to speak it. The more you showed up in truth, the more they unraveled in secrecy. And now your absence haunts them more than your presence ever did, because they can lie to others, spin stories, even convince themselves you were the issue. But deep down, they know you never had to pretend. You were real, and that reality cracked their carefully crafted image. The guilt they carry now isn't just from how they treated you. It's from who they became in the presence of someone who didn't need to wear a mask. They wanted to forget you, but how do you forget the person who made you see yourself clearly for the first time? You didn't try to destroy their world, you just refused to live in their illusion. And that choice, that truth, it did the damage they never recovered from. Number 10. While they were busy playing you, you were already playing the end game. They thought they had you figured out, not knowing they were walking into a checkmate you designed months ago. They assumed your silence meant weakness, that your calm was hesitation, that your lack of reaction meant you didn't catch on. But here's the truth. You were never confused. You were just focused, studying the patterns, tracking every move, reading every slip. While they were performing, you were processing. While they were plotting, you were predicting. They thought they were playing you, not realizing they were exactly where you wanted them. You weren't even on the same board. They were playing checkers, moving loud and sloppy, chasing quick wins. You were playing chess, in silence, in shadows, 10 steps ahead the whole time. You let them think they had control, because you knew their ego would reveal every card. And when the time was right, you didn't retaliate. You just ended the game with a move so clean, they're still stuck trying to figure out where they lost. Smart ones don't fight loud. They let the enemy walk straight into their own trap. Imagine a predator circling its prey, thinking it's clever, fast, superior, but every move it makes only drives it deeper into terrain it doesn't understand. Then suddenly it steps in something it didn't expect. A trap so well placed it couldn't have been improvised. That's what you did. You laid down silence like a blueprint. Every quiet step was calculated. Every reaction you didn't give was part of the setup. They weren't outmatched in the moment. They were outmatched from the start. You were the strategist, the observer, the higher-level thinker. And now they're stuck pacing, trying to rewind, trying to understand what happened. But they never will, because you weren't reacting emotionally. You were operating strategically. They played for attention. You played for legacy. The loudest player rarely wins. The smartest one ends the game without saying a word. So let them keep guessing. Let them keep asking, what did I do wrong? Because the truth is, you already knew what they would do. You saw it coming. You let it unfold. And when their final move landed, they looked up and realized they were the pawn the whole time. That's why your win wasn't loud. It was permanent. That's why they'll never recover. You didn't just beat them, you outclassed them. And the silence after your final move, that's the sound of checkmate. Number 11. You stopped feeding the loop, and their control fell apart. They didn't fear your absence. They feared your evolution. They weren't scared of losing you. They were scared of losing access to the version of you that kept showing up, fixing, forgiving, explaining, absorbing damage like it was your job. You were their reset button, their emotional crutch, the safe space they ran to after setting everything on fire. And for a while, you played the role, not because you were weak, but because you had a heart. Until one day, you finally looked around and realized this isn't love. This is a loop. And you broke it, quietly, decisively, not out of bitterness, out of clarity. You stopped healing people who were addicted to hurting you. You stopped watering ground that refused to grow. And that one move, that single act of self-respect, it destroyed everything they were banking on. Because their whole control system relied on one thing, you never leaving the cycle. You didn't abandon them. You abandoned the pattern that was destroying you. Imagine someone on a merry-go-round laughing while you run beside it, exhausted, trying to keep up, thinking that maybe this time it'll slow down for you. And then one day, you just stop running. That's what you did. And suddenly they weren't laughing anymore. The whole ride felt meaningless without the person they depended on to fuel it. See, they weren't looking for change. They were looking for your consistency to make up for their inconsistency. They expected you to always be the bigger person, the fixer, the one who kept the peace at your own expense. But you waking up to that devastated them. Because now they're left with themselves, and without you to blame, distract, or lean on, they're face to face with their own mess. You ended the cycle they thought would protect them forever, and now they're spiraling without the lifeline they kept abusing. You didn't stop loving, you just stopped betraying yourself. You didn't cut them off in cruelty, you chose peace over punishment, distance over dysfunction, and that's why it hurts them so bad, because you didn't leave out of hate, you left out of growth, and nothing threatens a broken person more than someone who's no longer willing to break with them. That's not just closure, that's liberation. That's the final move in a game they thought they could keep you stuck in forever, and now they're left standing at the edge of the loop, realizing the cycle is dead without you in it. That's your real power. That's the win. Number 12. You weren't a character in their script. You were the glitch that deleted it. They had a formula for everyone until you walked in and shattered the math. They thought they had you pegged, that you'd follow the script like everyone else, that you'd be predictable, moldable, another piece on their little chessboard. But every move you made broke their code. You didn't just step out of line, you erased the line altogether. You were the one thing they didn't account for, the anomaly, the variable that crashed the system. See, people like them thrive on control. Predictability is their playground. They rely on pattern. Say this, get that. Push here, trigger that. But you didn't flinch when expected. You didn't beg when baited. You didn't fold under pressure. Instead, you evolved. You confused them. You ruined their flow. They kept trying to solve you like a riddle, but every time they thought they had the answer, you changed the question. You weren't hard to understand. You were just never meant to be understood by small minds. Imagine trying to solve an equation using the same broken formula again and again, and failing every time. That's how they look at you now. Frustrated, baffled, low-key, obsessed. Because if they can't categorize you, they can't control you. And if they can't control you, they can't protect their illusion of power. You weren't just unpredictable, you were unreadable. You shattered the assumptions they built about you and themselves. And that's what hurts them most. The realization that you never played the game. You watched them play themselves. They didn't lose track of you. They lost track of the story the moment you stopped fitting their fantasy. They're haunted not just by the loss, but by the fact that they never truly had you. Not emotionally, not mentally, not energetically. They couldn't mold you, couldn't break you, couldn't figure you out. And now you live in their head. Not as a regret, but as a mystery they'll never solve. You didn't just ruin the ending, you rewrote the genre. You weren't a character in their life, you were the rewrite of the whole damn book. And now they're stuck reading blank pages, wondering where it all went wrong. Still trying to decode the equation that was never meant to be solved. And if you're still wondering why they can't forget you, now you know. You didn't just leave, you transformed. You became the glitch, the ghost, the greatness they never saw coming. So if this message hit deep, press that like button if you haven't already. And if you're still not part of this growing tribe of chosen ones, hit that subscribe button now. Join the force that's rewriting the narrative. Your evolution isn't just personal. It's powerful. And this is only the beginning. We've got more truth to drop. Stay sharp, stay rising. You're not alone.